Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast, episode 217. My name is Bret, aka Enigma 9011, and today we're going to kind of stray away from the usual rigmarole intro, all that jazz. We're just going to kind of get right into it. Hi, Moose. Moose is back. I'm back. I know it's been a little while since we've been here. We had the trip to North Carolina recently, and then we've kind of taken a few weeks off, missed a few weeks, so kind of want to do a bigger episode today, catch you up on what's been going on outside of streams, content, podcast, whatever, and then we can get into the normal stuff of what I've been doing during that meantime, or how I've been feeling my time. So we're going to kind of do a little life update here, what's been going on. If you don't want the downs, I guess, because obviously I understand podcasts a little bit of escape for everybody, just kind of reminiscing about fun topics or going over some stuff that we're all interested in and interrupted by a cat here and there. I get that. I'll put a timestamp down below if you're checking out the full episode so you can skip that and get to the fun stuff. Shouldn't be too long, but where are you going, dude? Pick a lane. What's been going on since the break? So trip was good. Had a great time catching up with everybody. Since kind of the tail end of that trip, it's been a little bit of bad luck after bad luck for the past couple weeks. Losses have been kind of rolling in, so it's been dealing with that. Towards the tail end of the trip, unfortunately, family dog passed away. This was my grandfather's dog, Cinnamon. We kind of took him in once my grandfather left us, and he unfortunately passed kind of quick, unexpectedly. He had diabetes he was dealing with. It escalated, and unfortunately, just better situation to have him go than keep him around and, not risk it, but have him suffer more. So he went while we were away, so that sucked, obviously. Got to say our goodbyes. So when we did that, I believe it was a Thursday night when we came back. Did that, said our goodbyes. Went into work the next day. Obviously a little bit down just because of how he was, or saying goodbye to him, still feeling the effects of that. Walk in, and everybody at work's kind of gathering together. Our big boss is there, and she drops the news that my direct manager had died and passed unexpectedly that night. So there was that. We're told to go home that Friday, not to focus on work. Obviously wouldn't be able to, so we had to deal with that all weekend. Still haven't got a lot of information on how he passed. There's some ideas about like his heart and stuff like that, and possible sleep apnea, but nothing definitive, so that's still kind of up in the air. So on top of Cinnamon's passing, now it's you have the whole weekend to process how's work gonna go with me being in this position for less than a year. Like, okay, what is expected of me? How am I gonna run things? Whatever, stuff like that. So we get to work, or I get to work the next week, and it sucks just because he's gone, but overall things were fine in terms of work wise. It was just kind of figuring out what we could do, what I could do, keeping the ball rolling there, keeping things afloat. And then I stupidly was like, oh well, death comes in threes, who's going to be my third? And it was, what was that, Saturday morning. So that work week went fine. Saturday morning rolls around. I'm like, okay, I'm feeling actually somewhat good. Felt like I was more motivated to do some stuff, get back on the projects here and there, work on the apartment, clean that up or whatever. So woke up early, felt good with that, and then I get a phone call. Grandmother passed away also unexpectedly. So that was a whole, I don't know. I don't know how I couldn't process anything at that point. It just was like I was exhausted already from the loss of the other two. So I didn't know. To feel empty sounds awful, but I didn't have anything left to give, or anything else left to give, it felt like. It kind of ebbs and flows here and there. with her. Not that it was a bad relationship or anything like that. It was great. It was just, yeah, I felt awful not processing that differently. So we had the services the following week. As of recording last Wednesday, felt better because I had that moment of closure with her. Still felt awful and guilty just for not seeing her as much in comparison to other family members and stuff like that, and that's something I'll have to live with, and try and be better about with the rest of the family members there. And that could be just me overthinking. Shocker, I do that all the time. Of just like, hoping things would have been different of me in terms of hanging out with people or spending time with them. Once again, not bad or negative relationships in any way, just like something I feel like I could have done better with. And it's just a different relationship, which I've talked about with my therapist and kind of going over all this. Like, it was funny, sounds bad way to put it, but like catching up with him after the trip, he's like, okay, so how was everything? I'm like, well, let's get going. And then to have the follow-up session and be like, hey, guess what? Another loss. That was a whole fun conversation to have with him for 2 sessions in a row. But so yeah, that's been mainly what's been going on and why I haven't been streaming, why the podcasts weren't going on, just because there was no motivation to do anything. As we'll talk about later with the other topics, like I tried to escape, reset, do some things that were fun for myself in terms of games, in terms of shows and movies, but it's still a struggle even today. Like, I feel better than I did, but there's still moments of just loss and still motivation. Like, even this podcast right now as we're recording is really late in terms of when we record. I was supposed to do it Sunday, normal day. Didn't end up doing it then, so it's more of like, you have to do it type thing to myself or you're going to feel awful. So we're here doing it. But yeah, I haven't been able to really sit down and focus and work on, I guess, the normal stuff that I want to work on or try and improve and whatnot. And I'm not trying to make excuses, just explaining where I've been at mentally. And I get it, you need time to process these things and whatnot. It's just, yeah, it was really shitty 3 weeks in a row of a Thursday, a Friday, a Saturday, just boom, boom, boom. Just, yeah, there was a lot of thoughts that went through my head with all the processes, or each situation entirely. Like, I think work and my manager weirdly was one that hit harder than the other two, and I think that's just because it kind of permeates into other situations, obviously with work and the whole work balance there and how that's going to go, and then just the shocked or the means of how he went and how it was out of nowhere. Like, mind was going work wise and my own mortality wise, which was weird. If you're like, oh, I guess I could, I mean, that could happen at any point, obviously, regardless of someone dying or passing recently, but like those thoughts became more prevalent of like, yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna wake up tomorrow type deal. So that was a bit spooky. And yeah, just now I'm on edge all the time of like, oh, what's gonna happen? And that will go with time. It's just the unfortunate situation we're in right now, trying to find some way to get back to normal and get back on, with life. Not that, I've shut down and I'm not working, I'm not doing that kind of thing, but like trying to not overthink everything. And I think forcing, once again, sounds bad, but doing something like this and doing the streams later this week, doing things like that, forcing myself, once again, sounds bad, to do those things. I hope that will help and that will alleviate those situations and make coping with it better. Coping also sounds bad. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, just a very quick update about what's been going on, why I haven't been around. So if you did watch this, I appreciate you. Thanks for taking that time, because I know, once again, these are meant to be an escape, just something fun to listen to, watch, whatever it is, whether you're playing something or in the car or whatever as you intake this. That's what it's meant to be. It's not supposed to be like, hey, here's all the shitty stuff that's been going on. But I appreciate also the transparency that you guys allow me to have with this. And I mean, we haven't done like a real topic in a while, so to just put that out there, vent, try and move forward from it. I appreciate you guys taking the time if you did listen to this, and for those who didn't, totally understand. But yeah, I want to be better normally and goal wise, so hopefully I can get back on there and try and move forward past this point and not get stuck in a rut, because that would be bad. Okay, enough of that. Topic 2. Let's be more positive now. Sorry for once again for that little bit of a speed bump in this episode, but let's get back to what the show is all about. I don't think I should do the full intro, but fuck it. You know, hey, welcome to the Wait What Are We Talking About podcast. This is episode 217. My name's Bret, aka Enigma9011. You can catch this podcast live over on twitch.tv/Enigma9011. You can drop a follow over there. You get notified when we go live, so you join in on the fun, chaos, and conversation with us. But if you can't catch it live, that's A-OK. Go over to YouTube and podcast services the very next week, where it's broken out topic by topic and put as one big video and MP3 for your amusement on the following Friday. Last but not least, any way you can help the show or help us out, likes, shares, subscriptions, whatever it is, reviews. It may seem small, but if it can help, it may seem small, but it does help the channel grow, so you take the time to do that. We would love and appreciate you for it. Today, wide variety of topics, as you saw at the beginning, but we're going to be on the upswing now. We're going to be talking about the fun stuff I've been doing since our last podcast a few weeks ago, and since the last stream. Some things we've been checking out, and let's start with some games, because yes, May has been a clusterfuck of indies that have released. A lot of great ones out there, almost too much to kind of play, which certainly is where I'm at. But there's May especially, there's been a lot of indie drops, so I wanted to shout out some games there and talk a little bit more in depth about some that I've been playing more recently. So just to get into it with May releases, I'm just going to call out a few here that have released recently that have caught my eye, or at least are on my radar. I've got Hades 2 is now in early access on PC. That's one, obviously we spent a lot of time in Hades 1. Looking very much forward to Hades 2. This is going to be one, even though it is in early access, I'm probably going to wait on. Was patient for Hades 1. Regardless, I was late to the party, but I'll wait for the full release there. Seems like the people I've listened to, they're really enjoying it. Just adding a whole new kind of layer with a new character, and it seems like the new gods and goddesses that you are dealing with throughout this character's journey. A little bit more emphasis on magic, I believe, instead of the hand-to-hand combat, but we'll see. But looking forward to checking that out and seeing how the story is going to continue there. We've been talking for a while, if we want to circle back to games we're looking forward to this year, but Little Kitty Big City is now out on Switch and PC. Haven't jumped into this yet, but do remember fondly the Steam Next Fest demo when we did play it. So you're a cat in the big city. Shocker! You get lost from your apartment and you're trying to get back to your home. So just solving little platform puzzles with your little cats. You can decorate them with a hat and stuff like that. So looking forward to jumping into that soon. Cryptmaster is also out. If you've been watching the streams, which, you know, a few weeks ago, but we did finally jump into Cryptmaster. Another one we played at the Steam Next Fest demos. Shout out to 61 Indie and their showcase for this being shown. But if you like word puzzles, if you like dungeon crawlers, this is the game for you. It's kind of that nice mixture of word puzzles and combat-esque type encounters. You could do it voice command as well if you want to speak to the Cryptmaster and say your answers there, or you can type in the prompts, whether it's different attacks for your 4 main characters that you're playing with as your party, or to solve puzzles and riddles that are scattered throughout. It's a lot of fun. Some of those puzzles are pretty challenging, but I did enjoy at least the first stream that we did of it, and that puzzle aspect. Lady and I have been lately playing, it's a mobile game, and I know it's not indie, but like Connections, I think it's called. Similar to the Word one. Oh, crap, now I'm going to forget it. Somebody's going to be shouting it at me. It's that daily Word game that everybody was hot on for a while. the 5 letters, and you're guessing it so many times. But we've been playing those as a team, just something to do together for the past couple weeks. And Connections has been a fun one where it gives you like 20 words. I think it's 20. Maybe it's 16. 16 words. Doesn't matter. Yeah, 16. And you have to find connections. Like, you pick 4. Like, how are these 4 connected to each other? And there's 4 different ones that you have to figure out. And I would say, similar to that, Cryptmaster has that fun, like, puzzle-solving mechanic to it. So it kind of scratches your brain. But I've really been enjoying it so far. Looking forward to diving into it as we continue on stream. Animal Well also dropped on PC and PS5. This is one we shouted out when we went to PAX East. Got to play the demo there. Little sprite dude in the forest. Kind of the vibes gave me like Avatar from Disney World. The Navi River Journey. Like that color aesthetic and those vibes. You're this little blob going through the forest here, and it's a Metroidvania where you're just trying to solve platform puzzles, explore farther and farther in. Haven't played too much of it here. I think I dipped my toe into it the other day, but this is something I'm looking forward to. I've heard a lot of people are really liking the full release. There's maybe one part that people are kind of struggling with some enemies, but excited to dive more into that, discover the secrets that they've hidden throughout this game. It's got cool vibes. Not too much combat, but enough to provide a little challenge. But yeah, looking forward to diving into that more head on. Mullet Mad Jack dropped. This is another one from 6-1 Indie Showcase that we saw. Didn't end up playing the demo from Steam, but this was a time-based run through, defeat enemies. I think the concept of the game is like you got this timer, and if the timer runs out, you die. So every kill you get kind of like adds time to that clock for you, so you can keep going, running through those levels. Looking forward to jumping into that in the full release now. Just looked like fast-paced combat and action similar to like a Neon White, so looks cool. Another one I haven't played yet, but I've heard good stuff about. Most of these I haven't played yet, but Lorelei and the Laser Eyes is out now on PC and Switch. I believe this is, let's see, a woman surrounded by an eccentric man to participate in a project in an old hotel somewhere in Central Europe becomes embroiled in a game of illusions, increasingly dangerous and surreal. Now you're invited to fall into the same rabbit hole in a non-linear mystery with an immense amount of handcrafted puzzles constantly presenting you with new riddles to solve. So, it's got some horror vibes, the puzzle vibes as it said. So looking forward to diving into that. Heard good things from the 6-1 crew and the Indie Council. So, yes. Another one I can't speak too much about, but Coffee Caravan dropped. Looks like a Diner Dash-esque cooking management thing. Coffee Caravan, you'll immerse yourself in a world of cafe manager, tasked with brewing up a variety of coffee delights and building your own coffee business on wheels. The game features a charming 3D environment with a pastel-colored aesthetic, and your daily journey takes you on a procedurally generated road trip full of surprises. Throughout your adventure, you'll discover and unlock new coffee recipes, purchase cutting-edge coffee-making appliances, and focus on providing an efficient and enjoyable experience for your customers. It's not just a game, it's a delightful exploration of the world of coffee with a touch of creative flair. So, fun chaos of managing stuff. But, heard good things about that one as well. Then we got 2 more here that I have played the demos of, both at PAX and here on stream. But we had Venture the Vile, which we played at PAX East. There was a combat demo and also a story demo. The narrative demo was exclusive to PAX, so jumped into that. You were kind of this kid with a little mask on your face, and all the people in the village have these different animal masks, and you and your friend are just going through the forest. You're collecting like food from some traps that you had set up, and you fall into this cave and unfortunately are attacked by this monster. You're able to escape, but it messes up your arm, giving this kind of dark essence power, and you are then dealing with what is going on with this darkness as it seems to invade the forest and home. Here's the description from releases.com, which is where I'm getting all this, by the way. Adventure of the Vials, the spooky 2.5D Metrovania set in the strange town of Rainybrook, which has been overrun by a mysterious entity known as the Vial. Absorb the Vial's powers, fight through treacherous grounds that were once your home, and find your lost friend Ella before it's too late. Jump, swing, and fight your way through dangerous enemies as you explore a carefully crafted 2.5D world full of puzzles to solve and secrets to discover. Full of puzzles to solve and secrets to discover. Unlock new abilities to overcome the Vial's monstrosities, even if it means losing your humanity. Explore the quaint seaside town of Rainybrook, which has been infested with the Vial's monsters. Meet the good yet peculiar townsfolk. Help them in various quests to discover their stories and uncover clues that might lead to your lost friend Ella. So yeah, when I talked to the devs very briefly at PAX, they seemed very nice, and this seems like a very cool story that they're telling here. So looking forward to diving into that more. It's kind of got that weird mystery vibe, like I said, with the villagers of like, why are you guys all like this, and kind of spooky vibes. But looking forward to diving into that more, as well as Haunty. Haunty was another one. This one we played the demo on stream. A lot of Gree vibes and that cool art aesthetic and the black and white. But you're a little ghosty, recently passed away, and you are trying to find out who you are while kind of passing on to the next life, I guess, or like the afterlife. This game kicks you right in the balls right in the beginning and makes it a sad game as your little angel friend tries to bring you up and you can't go for some reason. Coming up, Moose, speaking of. But you get dragged back down to this, like, I don't know, not hell, but this weird, darker afterlife limbo type deal. But yeah, looks like a very sweet journey. Like I said, it's going to turn on that emotion, those emotions for you. So looking forward to diving into that and seeing the story that they're telling there. Okay, I think that's everything. Right, Moose? But yeah, that's only obviously the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more indies that did come out in May. But speaking of indies, let's talk about two that I did dive into more fully. Neither came out in May. One actually dropped in April. The other one's been out for a little while, but heard from a podcast and decided to jump in. Artemis has many thoughts. First one I want to talk about is a game called Little Guardsman, L-I-L Guardsman. This... Mouse! Quiet! Come here. The Little Guardsman is essentially, you are a girl named Lil. You are covering for your dad at a guard post, and you are in charge of kind of vetting people that come into the village. Are they good people? Are they bad people? Do they have good intentions, bad intentions, whatever it is? So you kind of question these people. You can use different, not weapons, but different tools that you have in your tool set. Like there's a truth serum, and there's a x-ray machine. There's a decoder ring if they got like secret messages that they're trying to hide from you. And you try and use those tools along with your questioning to try and find out if you should allow this person into the village, into the town, or if you should kind of turn them away and let them go on their merry way. This game's a lot of fun. I've heard it's compared to Papers, Please, which I haven't played. But this has a fun, goofy kind of world that they've built. Like there's some very unique and kind of comical characters that you'll run into. Like I know there was this one girl that we ran into where she comes in, she's just singing, she's all like Belle from Beauty and the Beast, and everything she has is in sing-song. But if you start looking at her closer, there's like these red blotches on her outfit, and you're like, ma'am, are you okay? And you can kind of glean that she has other like more nefarious intentions. And the cool thing is too, like after your day, you usually have like 5 people that come up to you in different circumstances with different stories and whatnot. And when you end your day and go to bed, you'll get little synopses or like blurbs about each of the characters, like, oh, so you let so-and-so in, and then they went here, and then they had good luck, bad luck, or whatever happened in their story. And to see the follow-up on some of them is very funny, especially her where if you turn her away, she like goes on a rampage in another village and then eventually gets arrested. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Glad that went well for at least me. So sorry for the other people. But yeah, it's a very fun and interesting game. I was playing, it's shorter. I was playing it a lot, and I've kind of done my usual thing where I've drifted away from it, but I've been meaning to jump back into it and finish it up. But this one, very chill, very fun, and like I said, with those goofy elements and goofy characters, it's very entertaining. So I would highly recommend it. Little Guardsman, I think it's on everything. But yeah, something, like I said, short, so it's not going to take too much of your time, and it's not going to be backbreaking in terms of difficulty, but there's some, a little thought into, but it's a good time overall, and the story that they're telling as well, on the outside of things, minus just each individual visitor you get, is a fun journey too, with Lil and her dad and what's going on there. So I got one more indie I want to talk about, and this one has fully just kind of put its claws into me. It's another Crab's Treasure. This is by Aggro Crab. Do you guys like Souls-like? Because this is a Souls-like with a crab. Me and Souls-like have this weird, like the Souls games have this weird relationship where I'm really interested in them and like want to enjoy the worlds, like Moose does, that they're exploring. Hey, come here. Say hi in the podcast. Stop yelling at the door. Come here. Talk about Crab Boy. Okay. So another Crab's Treasure. It's a lot of fun. Me and Souls-like have that weird relationship where I want to like them, but usually I'll hit that wall and I'll kind of get frustrated and then not want to play it anymore, and it's just like, I don't feel like the progress is happening. And this one just fully has me locked in. And similar to Lies of P, which we talked about a few weeks, like, I feel like I'm getting better at them. At least these two I've had better luck. We'll see if, I jump into a Dark Souls, how much I'm going to get slapped there. But for now, I've been feeling very accomplished in this one. Even when things become difficult, it doesn't feel like it's pushing me away or it's deterring me from trying it again and again. It's more of just like, shit, all right, here we go. And you do it again. It's got that motivation. It has the hooks in you to keep you going. And I think what also helps with this is just the completely different look of what you expect from like a Souls-like. Like, you think mostly with these games, and I could be wrong because I don't know, the whole entire genre catalog, but usually there's castles, usually it's dark and spooky, and you got these giant beasts that look really insane and have crazy backstories and moves and all this jazz. And another Crab's Treasure is just the tale of Krill, your little crab. His home gets taken away because he didn't pay his taxes. And he's going back, he's chasing after this debt collector to get his house back, pay off whatever he needs to because a new person came and rolled into town and owns the land. So he's just trying to get his home back. So you go with him. You put on different little shells, similar to how we talked about with Little Kitty Big City earlier with the hats. You have a wide variety of shells here, like a tennis ball or a tin can, a soda can, a little jar. Some really funny ones too that you can get, and you just got this little tuning fork and you're fighting off polluted crabs as you're going through this world and learning like how the pollution is affecting the ocean and corrupting a lot of these animals here. It's a lot of fun. Like I said, the story's goofy enough and the characters that you run into and interact with is silly. Something personally I really enjoy, like they take the pollution aspect obviously and putting this in the game for the enemy purposes, but seeing there's one town that's just like all made of trash that's wound up down there, and just seeing how it's laid out is really funny. But the thing I chuckled at, I think the most, is there's a pathway in this city, and roads, they have them paved and paths on the side and whatnot. No, for this one, it's just essentially a long CVS receipt that is your walkway the entire way. So it's silly things like that that really just keep you going in this game in terms of that narrative that make it a lot of fun that I've really been enjoying. In terms of gameplay, they still have the big bosses that you'll run into with the Souls genre, that's your main objective is defeating them. I've had a good time with each of them. I haven't felt like anybody's been really super difficult. Like, I've definitely died, and a few of them died a few times too, but it's never felt like... I hate to compare it to other Souls games, but sometimes, like, when you dodge, you kind of get the baloney and BS calls, like, I dodged, but then they pivot and still hit you, and it's like, what? I haven't felt any frustration with that, and I still get that sense of accomplishment when defeating them. I think the thing that's given me the most frustration, ironically enough, is just sometimes the regular enemies. Sometimes you could just get in a bad pocket where there's a lot of enemies there, and you'll get cornered, you'll get punched kind of awkwardly, and just things won't go your way. I think I definitely hit that more at the start. It's been better as I've gone on and learned to deal with them, which also is kind of the point. But yeah, I've been having a blast with it. This one, I want to say I'm like 2/3 of the way through, but I'm not really sure, obviously, because I haven't looked up anything. But I've been having an absolute blast with going with Krill into this journey, and especially for a game genre where I typically stray away or don't see it all the way through. This is definitely one I'm like, yep, I'm committed. We're locked in. We're going through everything here. What's the platinum? All right, cool. Let's get that. Let's go for everything. So another Crap's Treasure, if you guys are interested in Souls-like, or even just trying something like that, I would say this is definitely user-friendly. The moveset that you have with Krill, or the upgrades that you have, are really, really fun and cool to build towards as well, along with the different shells, which give you like different abilities, different defensive stats, different attack that you can use depending on them. Excuse me. Like, for example, the soda can you can use to like pop out different bubbles, and those can hit your enemies that you're running into. Yeah, just a lot of fun, and the developers definitely had fun sprinkling those elements of comedy into it as well. I think there's one point where one of your allies is talking about like spiraling, and Krill's like, oh yeah, I know all about that. Just that dark humor in there. And then one more element of it's not really a spoiler, but sometimes with games, obviously they're a little difficult. If you want to, there's kind of an easy mode in this game. I haven't tried it out myself, but I've heard about it. So there's another indie game called Squirrel with a Gun. Yep, that's a real title. And that gun is in this game, I guess. So you can just have your little hermit crab with the pistol, and you can one-shot anything you run into. So if you just wanted to run through the story or just cause pure chaos with the gun, you can. I kind of like that. Obviously it's the goofy element of it, but giving people the ability, like, oh, I'm really struggling with something. Okay, I want to take care of it, move past it, and go on to the next thing. I like that instead of just that hard, nope, you can't enjoy the game. And I get it. There's a whole argument. It's like, well, then you just walking through it easy. Don't want to hear it. Just let people enjoy it. You do your thing. They'll do their thing. Enjoy your experience. They can enjoy theirs. But yeah, another Crab's Treasure. I've had a blast with that. Aha. So, it's been a great time. Moving on to our next topic. Right, Moose? Mm-hmm. Let's talk about some movies we've delved into with this break. Two in particular that we've watched. We're not going to do any spoilers, so, no worries there. If you don't want to know about these movies, I guess just skip ahead. One came out last year, a few years ago, and then the other one just dropped recently, but we'll talk about the first one. If you like mystery, thrillers, suspenseful journeys, this was one I was looking forward to when the trailers dropped. I wasn't sure if it was going to be too intense for me, because I don't do well with the spooks, but this was perfectly fine, and I'm really glad that we watched it. It got a little bit of mixed reviews, which I can kind of understand why, but I really enjoyed it. Lady and I watched it together. It's a movie called Don't Worry, Darling. It's starring... what is her name? She's been in the MCU as new Black Widow. Hold on. Don't worry, darling. Florence Pugh. Yeah, she's the main character. So the setting in this movie is it's like a utopian 1950s town, and things start kind of unraveling and not seeming as perfect as they once were. Really fun movie in terms of like this amount of suspense that they do build and kind of the mystery that is going on with like, how is this town being run? What's actually going on? Why are people starting to question things? And what is causing this kind of chaos? Takes you on a journey there. Jumps right into it with like establishing everything in the world and whatnot. And yeah, once things kind of start unraveling and unhinging, I feel it goes kind of like pacing is very good in this movie. Once they get to a little bit more of the reveal of what's going on, it wasn't what I was necessarily anticipating or expecting. And I kind of went like, oh, okay, that's the way we're taking this. And I can see where people might have disagreed with that, where they wanted one thing instead of the other. And I think I agree with them in some sense, but I wasn't so turned off like I'm against what happened. It just was, in terms of a twist, and I don't want to, like I said, I'm not trying to spoil things. It was more, or maybe too try hard in comparison to what I thought was going to go on. But once you get that reveal and seeing the main character kind of overcome or challenge that obstacle in front of her, it was a very fun ride. It was one of those ones that made you think as the movie was going on and really think afterwards of like, wow, okay, yeah, so I really enjoyed that, diving into that and giving that a try. I would highly recommend it. Like, I'm not going to say it's the greatest thing ever, because like I said, mixed reviews, mixed results, but obviously that's with everything. But I think everybody who was in it did a great job with their characters and portraying that. And yeah, just a fun ride overall. Next one I want to talk about, like I said, a little bit more recent, and maybe this one I'll go a little spoilers with, so if you don't want spoilers there, like skip ahead. But I watched Fall Guy. So Fall Guy came out a few weeks ago. Yeah. But decided to check it out. This was another one that I was looking forward to. Concept is stuntman working on a movie. He has this kind of relationship with the director. They're hitting it off. And his guy that he's stunting for goes missing, right? And he is asked to go find the guy. Well, he goes looking for him and discovers that he's dead. Finds his body in a bathtub on ice, and he's like, and then has to deal with the repercussions of what that actor had gotten himself into. There's your plot. That was in the trailer. Spoilers. I really liked the movie. I wanted to like it more. That trailer that I just painted a lovely picture for, not really. They tweaked it a little bit where the trailer wasn't exactly how the movie played out. The actor was still missing. He still had to go find him. But it was a different body. And you learned that the guy's still in shit, but he's trying to cover up something he did. He accidentally killed that guy, and he's like trying to blame it on the stuntman who's the fall guy. Name of the movie. And you get to see Ryan Gosling's character go through like all these crazy sequences and trying to get away from the bad guys, defend himself, stuff like that. I had a great time with it. Was kind of hoping for more of a comical approach with it. At least that's how it was presented with the trailers. It felt more like a 21 Jump Street with Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill. Like, it felt more like that, where it was going to be this goofy story. They had elements of it where Gosling had those moments of comedy, but it was not like uber serious like a John Wick or a, I don't know, bad examples, but like super combat, like all that stuff. Like all the choreography and the stunts were incredible, and I like how they showcased a wide variety of stuff as this movie, at least with their press stuff. Like they've been trying to be like, stunts are cool, give stuntmen credit, stuff like that. They showed a wide variety here, from hand-to-hand combat to cars to animal stuff to the like CGI elements. Like they showcased all of it, and I think they did a fantastic job with that. But from a character perspective, Ryan Gosling's character, like whenever he needs to defend himself, it's just like martial arts movie. Like, yeah, he's a stuntman. Yeah, he obviously knows martial arts, how to fall, keep himself relatively safe, stuff like that. But he's not just a badass who can fight everybody. Like I was kind of hoping for more of the elements of like, oh, I'm in this situation, and he can kind of get himself out of it because he has this experience. Like it just seemed like he was almost superhero-esque because he didn't really get hurt a lot and didn't have this like panic in his voice expression, anything like that. There's one moment in the initial trailer where it does this, where he's like running away, he's on this dock and sees a boat, and he runs over to the edge. He's like, no, that's too far, I can't do that. And he starts like running back or walking back in doubt. And then all of a sudden, like you see the gunshots hit, and he's like, oh God. And then he commits and does it. I was kind of hoping for more of that. Like, obviously he doesn't have to be a wimp and panic throughout the whole thing, but he just kind of rolled with it and was like super agent man. So, still a fun movie. Entertaining with the cast, the characters that they did have, and the plot that they were telling with like, oh, Aaron Taylor Johnson's character, the main actor, like trying to throw it onto Ryan Gosling's character. You have this whole narrative where like he's jealous, and he got the stunt Ryan Gosling's character hurt at the beginning of the movie, which then led to Gosling and Emily Blunt's character, their relationship kind of being like, oh, we're together, and then, oh no, he walked away from me and kind of ignored me, and then them coming back together in this, and him working up the courage to talk to her and find the right things to say. It was a fun movie throughout. I would recommend this one too. I still enjoyed it, like I said. I still think it was good. I just don't think it reached the highest of highs, and maybe that's from an expectation standpoint of what I thought they were going to portray. This feels just like, middle of the road type movie, fun ride. Not going to leave you like bad taste in your mouth. But yeah, just missed kind of the mark in terms of what I thought they were advertising or trying to put out there of how this was going to be portrayed. But I don't know. It was a fun time. I'd recommend it, even though I just spoiled it. But yeah, check it out. Last topic for today. Let's talk another kind of not cinematic experience, but let's talk some shows that I've been watching recently. So we'll talk about one that Lady and I have been kind of binging together, and then one this past week I've delved into. But first off, Lady and I have jumped into Bob's Burgers. We've been meaning to watch it for a while, but we finally started from season 1 and started watching. I think we're in season 5 or 6 right now, over on Hulu, and we've been having an absolute blast with it. I mean, I don't have a lot of history with The Simpsons, but from the little bit I have seen, it has those similar elements to that show in terms of like, obviously the weird dynamics of the family and the kids and just the shenanigans they get themselves into. But I will say something that I do really appreciate about the show is the continuity that they surprisingly have. You'll run into characters and do little stories with them in one episode, and then you may see that character down the line in another episode, and they'll still remember or bring up past events. Not like, oh, you have to see everything, but they'll reference how they have a history and how they have tension or something they did really well together. It's just something I personally appreciate because it's simple, it's small, and it just allows these characters to kind of grow throughout the show, instead of just being individual plot by plot, episode by episode, like short narrative, which is fine, obviously, for episodic TV. And they still do that, but it's just that little extra layer of spice of like, oh yeah, this world is constantly evolving, even if the kids aren't getting older and like these other big life events aren't necessarily happening, but it just allows the world to be fleshed out more and more. Yeah, it's been really fun and entertaining to jump into it. Just the stupid situations that these characters get themselves into and how they react to things. Like, the kids are absolutely insane, with Luis and Tina and Jean, like seeing the chaos they get to themselves into at school or outside of it. It's just been a lot of fun. So glad that we've jumped into that. Obviously, we have a lot more episodes to go, and I think the show is still going. I think they had a movie at one point, or at least they were working on it. I don't recall if that's still a thing. That might have ended with the Disney buyout or whatever. But yeah, a lot of fun with that show. If you need something just to kind of turn your brain off, sounds bad, but just something to cut loose with. It's goofy and stupid, but I don't feel like it overdoes it where it's gonna push you away type thing. I think it's a good balance with the elements that they do tell. Now, the other side of the coin, going from animated to live action, something that I've jumped into recently. It's been out for a little while and I've heard a lot of good things, but finally decided to give it a try, ironically after Fall Guy, just because I was on Prime. But I finally started The Boys. Now, for those of you guys who don't know The Boys and what that is about, let me see if I can find a synopsis. Superheroes are often as popular as celebrities, as influential as politicians, and sometimes even revered as gods. But that's when they're using their powers for good. What happens when heroes go rogue and start abusing their powers? When it's the powerless against the super powerful, the boys head out on a heroic quest to expose the truth about the Seven and Vought, the multi-billion-dollar conglomerate that manages the superheroes and covers up their dirty secrets, based on the comic book series of the same name. So yeah, I jumped into this. I am almost done with season 1, and I'm absolutely loving the show. Having a great time with it. I knew a little bit about Homelander, just seeing like the memes about him and the GIFs and whatnot, and then also him making an appearance in Mortal Kombat 1 coming up. I was like, okay, I kind of know a little bit about you. You seem like this power crazy Superman type character. But other than that, I knew nothing about this show. And going into it with that blankness, for lack of a better term, was very rewarding. So, speaking of spoilers from earlier, if you don't want to be spoiled on The Boys, like me, and just go in blank, maybe take off. This is your time. Peace. I'm not going to give like the full story stuff that I know right now, but I'm going to talk about story elements. So, just want to be fair to that. So yeah, we get introduced to this world where the superheroes exist, and as the synopsis kind of said, like, everything seems hunky-dory and like, oh, superheroes are great and people are loving them and having a great time and like, you know, stoked about them, right? And they can do no wrong. And as the story, or as this first season is kind of unfolded, you kind of learn of how dark and twisted some certain things are, like how twisted in creepy ways and twisted in like, what? The really obscure ways that some of these characters are. And you learn how Vought, which is like their PR fund, like, superheroing is money, right? And they kind of try and twist certain things in terms of like their stories, their angles. Like, there's writers for the superheroes, there's PR teams, there's video teams that will capture them doing the right thing, and if someone does do a bad thing, they like have all these lawyers are trying to cover it up, and they want to be like these perfect specimens beings and whatever. And the 7 are like, I guess, just the 7 representatives for Vought. They're like the best of the best, at least from what I've seen. And how the story gets going is you follow 2 perspectives. And you see the superhero side of things, and you see the normal citizen like scenario. And I would say the normal person is probably where more of the focus is, but in the character's name is Huey, and his story is he's just an average guy. He's working at an electronics shop. He has this relationship with his girlfriend for I don't know how long, and they meet up after work, and they're talking about their lives and like, oh, maybe we're gonna move in together, and like they seem really happy, and they share a moment together outside, and while they're doing that and they're holding hands, she gets killed by a superhero, and Huey's just standing there, just takes that all in, and this hero doesn't stop. He doesn't apologize. He's on his way. He's on his merry way and does his thing. And this is Huey dealing with like what has just happened to him, and how Robin, I believe her name is, has passed, and he's trying to like deal with those emotions and like try and get some type of justice for her and like punishment for that hero who was just out and about and was saving people when there was nothing going around or going on at the point. And you follow this journey with him and this kind of rogue gallery of like ex-FBI agents, I believe, who want to take down the supers or have like negative opinions about them. And seeing Huey's journey in terms of like just this happy-go-lucky dude and his, I wouldn't say he gets corrupted, but there's definitely like you see the challenges he comes up against and like what barriers he breaks down for himself in terms of getting the justice he thinks is right for her. So you get his perspective, and then you get the superhero perspective where you get Starlight, who's like this up-and-coming superhero. She's been saving people in her town and helping them, but she really wants to be part of the 7. She wants to really be part of something bigger and help people out. And she tries out for the team, and she gets accepted. And you see through her perspective how scummy some of the people are. And just seeing the situations that she has to deal with, like learning how the 7 aren't super nice, some of them, at least from what I've seen, and how shady they are. And then seeing like the PR side of things and how everything's very fabricated, and it's not just like, oh, we're going to go save the day when something happens. Like crimes are fully not fabricated, but like studied, and like there's a whole team of a security team like on cameras and on police reports and whatnot that tell them like, oh, there's going to be something that's happening here, like this crime group is getting together or whatever, and then the heroes just show up and take care of it so they can get good footage of them, make money through the company and whatnot, and go on merchandising sales and do movies and shows and all this. And you get to see this through her perspective and realize that along with her, like this isn't something that she actually wanted. She wanted to do right in the world, and seeing her deal with that, and seeing her character grow, it's been a really fun ride to see these characters grow and see what they're going against. Like I said, there's certain times where it does get really weird and it's almost comical. But it just also just adds that layer to these characters of like how deranged they actually are, or like psychotic in a way. So I've been enjoying that, and it's one of those things like Fallout had this a little bit, and I haven't continued with Fallout since the first episode, not in a negative way, just me taking in things like, whoops. I don't know if it's an Amazon thing. I don't know if it's a streaming service thing, but this show does get very violent at times. But just, like, there's a lot of heavy subject matter, and it gives you ample warnings at the beginning with those ratings. It's no joke. But from a violence standpoint, it's not excessive in terms of like the amount of violence, in terms of like what's the term for it, the amount of times it happens. It's the the excess of gore there is. Not anything gross, in my opinion. Obviously that's a different radar scale for everybody, but it's almost comical in the amount of blood that just happens at times during fights. Like if someone's gonna get stabbed, they're gonna rip stuff, they're gonna whatever. If someone's gonna explode, it's just red. Like, it doesn't happen a lot, but when it happens, it's like, Jesus Christ. So if that's not your thing, I just say be careful of that. I would say it's very telegraphed when those things or moments are going to happen, so you could try and avoid those. But yeah, it gets to a point where it's like, yeah, like I said, almost comical, because it's like, what? Way too much here, way too much. But the story's been really good. Like I said, I'm on season 1. I want to say I'm episode 5 or 6 in. And thinking, like, I know where this story's going. And then seeing more elements be revealed to us, the audience, and the twists and turns that we're going on. Like, the show right now, I believe they just put out season 4. I could be wrong. But, like, seeing that and knowing there's a spin-off show as well. Obviously, the show's done very well for itself. I'm like, where do we even go with this? Like, not in a bad way. I'm more like, it's that intrigue. Like, they got me hook, line, sinker of like, let's go. You're on this journey. I'm really interested to see where these characters that they've introduced, and I presume more characters, because we only have the one super group. Like, are there other agencies around there that just maybe aren't as successful? Is every superhero a dickbag? Are there some good ones like Starlight? And then we'll get something there. How are our normal jabronis going to handle anything? Seeing what they try and do to deal with the super people is interesting. But yeah, knowing like there's a lot ahead of me, it's like, what stories are we telling here? Is this going to be one giant narrative, or is it going to be seasonal stories type thing and arcs? Yeah, just looking forward to it. So yeah, if you guys like superheroes, or just like that, a really good narrative, like even if you're not a superhero fan, I would say give it a try. It's on Prime, so if you got it, try it out, see what you like. But yeah, like I might watch more tonight. I'm like that stoked. Looking like just thinking about it, like, yeah, well, it's a lot of fun. So I don't know, but that's what I've been doing since the last podcast we were here for. So yeah, appreciate you guys hanging out. If you got any thoughts on any of these games, shows, whatever, movies, let me know down below. What are you watching right now? What are you guys really diving into and enjoying? And what should I check out? But this has been another episode of the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast. My name is Bret, aka Enigma911. I appreciate you guys hanging out with us today, giving this a watch, giving a listen, all that fun stuff. I appreciate your guys' patience with me with the hiatus. If you guys watched the first topic today, thank you for doing that and taking the time to listen to me vent. But yeah, looking forward to getting back into the streams over on Twitch weekly, and then doing these podcasts weekly as well. I know we've talked about guests. Something I need to reach out and actually do. Just one of those things, like, get back in good routines and stuff like that. But I do enjoy these conversations with you guys, just talking about, what kind of media we're taking in, what's good, what's bad, what's not. So I appreciate you guys taking the time to do this. Or check it out. If you guys ever want to catch the podcast live, you can always go over to twitch.tv/Enigma9011. You can drop a follow over there. You'll get notified when we go live, so you can join on the fun, chaos, and conversation with us most of the time. But if you can't catch live, that's A-OK. Go over to YouTube and podcast services the very next week, where it's broken out topic by topic and puts one big video and MP3 for your amusement on the following Friday. Last but not least, any way you can support the show, likes, shares, reviews, whatever it is. It may seem small, but it does help the channel grow, so if you take the time to do that, we would love and appreciate you for it. Once again, guys, thank you so much for spending your time here, giving this a watch, giving it a listen, and I will see you guys on the next one. Take care.